There's a fight that's coming. I need to find out who our enemy is.
You could have been miles from here months ago.
We'll never know if we'd done it right.
You know what's coming.
Why are you hiding? You said, find me. Why did it go so wrong?
Maladie's hanging scene, it's just madness.
They should burn you!
Penance realizes it could be them in Maladie's position, and if they can't stop it, they should.
This is a case where justice must be seen, and it requires a bloodletting.
They're killing her to make a big example out of her. That's, I think, the principle of it.
Public execution we abolished 30 years ago.
They're hanging Maladie for being touched. Harriet's MO is to abide by the law. So she sides with Penance because there's a disparity of justice there.
I think for Desiree, it's just survival. She doesn't want to go along with Amalia because that route looks too unknown and uncertain. And on some level, Desiree's a bit lazy, so she'd rather do less work.
Penance's plan to save Maladie. It's quite a crucial thing to be able to pull off.
That sense of the orphanage coming together for the greater good. You can feel it when you're on set. It's really exciting.
I remember I was supposed to get a 4 a.m. call time and go and shoot this, and it was just like, oh, we're all shutting down. And it was like, okay, see you in a few weeks.
We all disappeared for 6 months. And originally, we were going to shoot in a very historic part of London called Greenwich. It was just a grand, grand space. But during these COVID times, we just said, you know what? What if we just built our own town square?
I'm so pleased that we got to build it because with COVID and everything and not having so many extras, it's not as big as Greenwich, which is good, and it's got a lot more sort of ins and outs to it. We created the back of a prison in a sleazy down part of town, really. So I plied my painter with all these pictures of filthy walls and what have you.
It just has that lovely Victorian griminess about it, which inspired everything that we're putting in there. We sort of do research into what they would have eaten then. So at an event like this, toffee apples, oysters, jellied eels. So those are the sort of things that the poor extras are eating. It needs to feel real, even down to things that probably the camera won't pick up, like bits of oyster shell crushed in the ground.
The creatives on this just take things to another level. So as an actor, you just step on set and melt into your surroundings.
It was interesting to see the crew who were like just on the lookout for how to make it look as realistic as possible.
Bring him in.
Public execution was an event that brought together people from different classes. They were this sort of spectacle. I think people really saw it as a holiday. There was a sort of ring that the police had set up so that no one could get too close. But beyond that, it was a free-for-all.
We were supposed to fill it with hundreds and hundreds of people, but we actually used digital motion capture crowds and spread out socially distanced crowds on green screen. That kind of gave us a lot more opportunities to do a lot of camera tricks to make not so many people seem like a lot of people.
The hanging of Maladie, it won't actually be our actor, it'll be a stunt double, because it's more unpleasant than it is dangerous. So we have a dressing robe that looks like a noose, and that's tightened with bungee, but it will always stretch. So when they drop through, they're actually dropping into a harness, and the actual pain is at the top of the legs where the femoral arteries are. That's what takes the impact.
The hanging scene is just this enormous moment within that world. Nimble appears using the turn to get Sue down to the gallows.
We had this massive ramp, which we built on the stage and painted it green. Our stunt double can run and jump, and we've used wires just to take the sting out of the landing. Working with VFX, they have to take all of these shots and stick them into a real environment.
Shoot! Shoot that!
And then, it all kicks off, it all goes crazy.
See, I knew that Amy Manson wasn't going to die in that episode, and I was like, okay, what's the loophole here?
She wanted people to see.
He realizes this is a setup. We're not hanging her, she's hanging us. What does happen is completely unforeseen, and it is, as Massen says, it all comes down to effing electricity, which is a great line.
The railings were hollowed out and perforated, and then we pumped some smoke up there so that when people are getting electrocuted, all the smoke comes out around them like they're sizzling up.
Maladie has rigged this whole thing up to drive people to that hanging. She set up this identity for herself that she's going to be able to observe.
She's harboring a hell of a lot of resentment and pain, and she needs to seek revenge.
Frank, he remembers Clara, who has a kind of fetish for the touched.
Sacrifice, you know? Through a fight sequence with Frank Mundi, the two end up switching positions.
So he then starts thinking about a conversation that he had with Effie Boyle.
My sales matter.
He starts putting it together that the journalist who's been covering the trial and eager to get access to Maladie is Maladie.
Before the whole Maladie reveal is when you first see she starts to feel empathy. That is a beautiful moment for the audience. Deep down, she does have a conscience, you know? She's a person, she's not invincible.
Even the villains in our show have so much heart.
The every reveal was great fun. Yeah, that was the hardest bit, trying to hide Maladie's wig under another wig. Amy just did such a brilliant job. Teeth out, threw them on the floor, wig off, threw it, and she's back to Maladie.
I think for the audience, that's so delicious after the event.
You know, she's smart. She's plotted, well, everything, really, from the start of episode 1.
You realize, oh my God, okay, this is much more sophisticated than I realized.
A lot of things start to pay off, but there are a lot of mysteries left, too.